I am 29, and I thought by now I would have my life together. I turned 29 a few weeks ago. At the point where you see this, it's probably been a little over a month. And I've been reflecting a little bit because this is my last birthday in my 20s. The next birthday, next year, I am turning 30. And while that's by no means old, I have thankfully stepped away from that mindset because I see so many, especially women in their 30s, thriving so much. It still made me contemplate a little bit that I'm not really where I thought I'd be, and I'm not quite where I want to be yet either. So I thought I would talk to you about this today, and we'll see how expectations were met and how they were not met. And I'm going to tell you about my expectations first, the expectations I probably had as a teenager or maybe in my early 20s. And then I will tell you a little bit about the reality of things. A lot of this has to do with professional life, but also private life. And then I will tell you what my conclusion about this is and how I feel about being where I am today. So one of the things that was always very important to me was to build a respectable career. Like if we're looking into my teenage years, early 20s, I always wanted to build a respectable career in an interesting field. And for some reason, there was always this dichotomy within me of this respectable, possibly academic or academic adjacent career that my family wanted for me and that I studied towards for a long time, versus I just wanted to write and make music. But my expectation was still, when I was in my teenage years and when I was in my early 20s, my expectation was still I would maybe do music and writing and that kind of stuff as a hobby, and I would grow out of that, and I would stop wanting to be a pop star, and I would stop craving these creative things that nobody really wanted for me, and I would follow the mold, and I would get a respectable career, and I would become another kid to brag about. Yeah, or grandchild, but my grandparents died a long time ago, so they cannot be included in that anymore. That is what I expected. I didn't have concrete plans as to what that specific career would be, but the main thing was stop dreaming about being a pop star, stop dreaming about being a writer, though the latter not as much. Like if I wanted to have a respectable career and be a writer on top of that, that was okay according to my family. Like I could be a writer. You can never be a singer. That's not a career. That's not a dream. That's a vague daydream at most. Those were my expectations. I would eventually grow out of it. Out of the dream that I had since I was 5 years old. Spoiler, I did not. Another dream I had was to live in a city apartment. I've had that dream for a very long time, since I was 10, 11, 12, something like that, for a very long time. I grew up in the countryside, like really proper countryside. Tiny village surrounded by farms and that kind of stuff, and vast forests, mountains. That's where I grew up. And I never, ever saw myself living there. I always wanted to move to a city. And though, honestly, the dreams were more along the lines of New York or London back then, I've got some good news for you about that one later. The next one was, I've already touched upon that, forget about my pop star dreams and maybe become a writer on top of my other academic and job-related things if I have the time. It was going to be okay for me to be a writer. So I expect that maybe in some distant day when I'm wise and well-trained, well-educated, I might write some books and sell them. But most important was stop thinking you want to be a singer. Stop thinking you can stand on a stage. Stop thinking you can make music. No. That was such a big thing for me growing up. It was never as verbally expressed as I just did that. But it was always still very strongly and very passive-aggressively expressed. That that was outside the realm of possibility for me and generally for people. Because pop stars do not exist and singers do not exist, even if they're not pop stars. It's totally another thing. Yeah. And I believed that propaganda for a long time. I believed that the only way I could be happy and I could lead an acceptable life is if I forgot about all of that. And the last two expectations I had were about my private life. I thought I might be married at this point, or at least in a committed relationship, possibly. I didn't know if I would per se be married yet. Like, I always thought that I would meet the right guy in maybe my mid to late 20s and then get married, have a bit of time living together and doing things together before getting married. And there was a time when I thought that was actually probably pretty likely going to happen, because I was in a serious relationship for many years, back when I was quite a bit younger. And I'm so glad that didn't end up happening. We developed in such different directions because I was so young when we got together. And we developed in such different directions that it's very good that it didn't work out. Not just for me, but for him probably too. I hope he's much happier with, if he has a partner now, with her than we were at the end with each other. And the other expectation I had was, especially if I was in a committed relationship, that I would be having a pet. I would have loved to have a pet. Those were the expectations that I had as a teen, maybe up to my early 20s. Now let's get to the actual reality of things, shall we? Because I mentioned the career, the respectable career first, let's get that out of the way, because that's kind of more on the serious side. The reality is that I have 2 degrees. I have a lot of language skills. I am highly overqualified for a lot of the jobs I've applied for. And I still have barely any career prospects. I have a job. I do work a job. And I actually really enjoy my job and the people that I work with. Like, I have absolutely nothing to complain except for the salary is not fantastic. But it is a salary, it is a stable income, and I get to work in an environment that I really enjoy. But there are no career prospects in that, really. I am gaining experience in a field that I hadn't gained experience before, but I am highly overqualified for the job that I'm doing. And yet, there is not really any way to progress anywhere, frankly. And this is a difficult situation because I have a timed contract for this job and I'm almost halfway through that contract. Still have some time left. And it is a stable income, and of course I can reapply to a job, a similar job, even in the same organization afterwards. Maybe make a better salary because I have the experience, but there is still not really that much career prospect out of that. And the reality is that while I enjoy this job, and while I enjoy working within this organization, it is a university, I'm not sure if I want to put in the effort to climb there, because it would take more hours to work. It would take more courses that I would have to take to become better qualified. I don't see that happening, really, because that's not where my heart lies. I like doing this job, and I would say I'm a reliable worker in it and a hard worker in it, but my heart is not there. It never will be. I will always do my job to the best of my abilities. And again, I love my job. And I really like the people I work with. That was never the problem. But career prospects in general, I'm not just speaking about this position specifically, but in general, are just kind of bleak for me. Yay. The next thing, and this one is a little bit of a happier one. Actually, it's a lot happier. I live in a city. I've been living in a city for a few years now. Like, this is my first apartment. And I've been living here for years. And it is a city. I love living in the city. It's everything I imagined. I love living in the city. I was made to live in the city. I was not made to live in the countryside. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I like public transportation most of the time. I don't like driving cars. I love walking. I love walking through a city. It's just so good. I enjoy it so much. It's everything and more. I'm very happy about that. The most important part is probably that I finally just gave in. I gave in to following my pop star dreams. I gave in to following my dream of becoming a writer. And if we go to the writer part, because I think that's quicker to get through, I have published 2 novels already. And I am working on finalizing the 3rd, which will come out in March next year. And then I'll have my first fantasy trilogy finished. Oh my god. At that point, I'll still be 29 by the time I've published an entire fantasy trilogy. I mean, I think teenage me would be like, oh my god, really? And I am still sometimes finding it a little bit hard to believe that I've really done that. I have done that. Oh my gosh. It's insanity, frankly. It's insanity. But I'm very happy about it. The thing that is more important to my soul, I am a singer. I have learned how to produce music, though there's always more to learn in that regard. I am a songwriter. I've written hundreds upon hundreds of songs. I have published, how many songs have I published? More than 30 songs. Can you imagine that? I've published more than 30 songs of my own. Some in collaboration with other artists. I am a singer. I am not a pop star. Not yet. And who knows if that ever will happen. But we're dreaming big now. Okay? I stopped withdrawing so much into myself for such a long time. It was such a coping mechanism, just somehow getting through my teenage years somehow. And I stopped allowing myself to really ever actually dream about the things that I wanted. And then in my 20s, towards my mid-20s, a flip kind of just switched. It was like, I cannot let other people dictate how I live my life. Even if those people might be my family who have specific expectations and have always had specific expectations, I do not fit their mold. I have never fit their mold and I never will. And it has taken me some time to come to terms with that. And sometimes I am sad that they don't really actually care about anything that I do. There are exceptions to this, but for the most part, they don't care. They don't know me. They ask, when there's family get-togethers, they ask my sister a lot of questions about, her work, her holidays, her child, things like that. I get asked nothing. Nobody wants to know. Coming to terms with that is a little bit sad, but I would rather be me with all that is me than have them ask these stupid questions. Oh, how many holidays have you been on this year? I have been on one holiday, which I had to go on because I had a doctor's appointment in another city and I just used that opportunity. I haven't been on a holiday before that since prior to the pandemic, because all the money that I have and that I make goes back into making music and living, getting better equipment, all these kinds of things. I just came to terms with the fact that I will never be who they want me to be, and maybe I'll never be enough in their eyes. But I'd rather be me than be whatever they want me to be. This is an emotional topic for me to talk about. But there came the point where I just couldn't live with myself as was anymore, and where I just had to follow my heart. Stop overthinking, and follow my heart. And that is what I'm doing. I am following my heart. And while that is tough, mentally and emotionally, and sometimes physically too, now that I've lived like that for years, I wouldn't want it any other way. Because this makes me happy, and this is who I am. You either take it or you leave it. It really is that simple. Am I a pop star yet? No. Do I still want to be one? Yes. Now to the personal life stuff. After this kind of heavy segment. I do not have any pets. It would not be very practical for me. I'm also not allowed to keep them in this apartment. So it is what it is. I am okay with that. Sometime down the line, I do think I might want pets. Not right now. Another point is I am not in a relationship. Haven't been in a relationship in a while. I'm very happily single. Yeah. Very happily. After that long-term relationship that I talked about earlier, I didn't have any interest in dating for a really long time. And I've dated a little bit since. I've gone on a few dates, but nothing where I felt like I want that. Maybe at some point I will be back in a relationship. Maybe I will not. I can live with it either way. Seriously, I don't care. I don't need a man. My conclusion is my life is not what I expected it to be when I was a teenager in my early 20s. In some aspects, maybe that's occasionally a little bit disappointing. But for the most part, I'm happy where I am. Yes, I would love to have more success with my music and with my writing, but it's slow progress. I'll get there. I will. I have faith in it. Sometimes not ending up where you thought you would end up is okay. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. HSP.